This week on Days of Our Lives. Salem doesn't explode, it breaks. The FBI enters E.J. DiMera's secret lab. A mysterious white powder locks the town down. A pregnancy turns dangerous, and the DiMera crypt begins to fill. These stories aren't separate. Someone is applying pressure from every direction. This isn't chaos, it's orchestration. And by the end of this week, the dark era of Salem begins. The weekly promo opens not with action, but with fear. Inside E.J. DiMera's hidden lab, the air feels tight, claustrophobic, and dangerous. Mark Green stands frozen, his face giving away everything before a single word is spoken. He looks like a man who knows the game is over. And then comes the line that changes everything. Rafe Hernandez announces that the FBI is here. This moment is far more significant than a routine investigation. Because E.J.'s lab isn't just suspicious. It is a physical manifestation of E.J. DiMera's darkest instincts. This is where secrets live. Where files disappear. Where ethical lines are crossed without hesitation. Experiments. Records. Evidence that could tie E.J. to crimes far bigger than anyone in Salem fully understands yet. Mark Green isn't the architect of this operation. He's not the mastermind pulling the strings. He's the fall guy, and that's why his panic matters. When law enforcement shows up, the powerful calculate. But pawns panic, because pawns know they are disposable. Rafe demanding that Mark open up signals something crucial. This isn't a bluff. This isn't a warning. This is the beginning of a full exposure. The walls are closing in, not just on Mark, but on E.J. himself. And the real tension lies in this question. What will the FBI uncover before E.J. finds a way to erase the evidence forever? While Salem braces for legal fallout, a much quieter, but emotionally explosive, moment unfolds. Chanel Dupree DiMera sits across from Sarah Horton, expecting answers, but not these answers. Sarah delivers the news with professional calm, but the weight of her words is unmistakable. Chanel is pregnant. For a split second, time stops. This is the miracle Chanel and Johnny have been hoping for. The dream they've prayed for. The future they've imagined. But Days of Our Lives never gives joy without asking for a price. Almost immediately, reality intrudes. Sarah doesn't just congratulate her. She explains the risks. Chanel's medical history transforms this pregnancy from a blessing into a potential crisis. Complications aren't hypothetical, they're real, measurable, and dangerous. This is not a storyline about glowing happiness and baby names. It's about fear coexisting with hope. Chanel must face questions no expecting mother wants to hear. Can her body handle this? Will continuing the pregnancy endanger her life? And what happens if the choice comes down to her health, or the baby? Even more complicated is Johnny's role in this. How will he react when joy turns into uncertainty? Will he support Chanel no matter the risk, or will fear tear them apart? This pregnancy doesn't just change Chanel's future. It has the power to reshape the DiMera family dynamic entirely. Across town, another quiet confession ignites a different kind of conflict. Brady Black admits something that instantly shifts the power balance. He's living at the Kuriaki's mansion now. To Brady, it's practical. Temporary. A solution to a complicated situation. To Xander Kuriakis, it's a declaration of war. Xander's reaction isn't about square footage or household rules. It's about territory, history, and insecurity. Because Brady's presence represents one thing Xander can't ignore: access to Sarah. More conversations, more shared moments, more emotional proximity. And that strikes directly at Xander's deepest fear, losing Sarah not through betrayal, but through familiarity. Brady insists there's nothing romantic behind the move. But Xander doesn't hear logic. He hears threat. This situation is a slow-burning fuse. No shouting yet. No confrontation, yet. But tension like this doesn't fade. It builds. And when emotions finally boil over, this living arrangement could trigger a conflict that neither man is prepared to walk away from unscathed. One of the most chilling moments in the weekly promo doesn't come from violence or shouting. It comes from something far more subtle. An envelope. Alex Kuriakis opens it, expecting answers, maybe documents, maybe clues. Instead, he finds mysterious white powder. And in that instant, the tone shifts from curiosity to terror. Because no one knows what it is. And not knowing is the most dangerous part. Stephanie Johnson immediately understands the gravity of the situation. There is no debate, no investigation, no second guessing. She demands they get out, now. That urgency is critical. Because this isn't just about Alex and Stephanie anymore. This is about containment. The situation escalates at frightening speed. Jada Hunter is notified and takes control. The hospital is alerted. The fire department is dispatched. Protocols activate. Emergency systems engage. Within minutes, Salem is facing a potential biohazard crisis. Public safety becomes the priority. Javi Hernandez suits up in protective gear and begins testing Alex and Stephanie in the town square, transforming a familiar, open space into a controlled emergency zone. Suddenly, Salem feels exposed. Steve and Kayla Johnson arrive, visibly shaken, not because they know what the substance is, but because they don't. And that's when the real meaning of this storyline becomes clear. This was never just about harming someone physically. This was psychological warfare. Someone wanted fear. Someone wanted uncertainty. Someone wanted to see how fast Salem would panic, and how quickly authority would scramble. The true threat isn't the powder itself. It's the message behind it. And the biggest question looming over this story is chilling. Was this a warning, or the first move in a much larger attack? Far below Salem, another crisis is reaching a breaking point. The DiMera crypt, already a symbol of the family's dark legacy, has become a pressure cooker of raw emotion. Kristen DiMera and EJ DiMera are now captives together. Trapped, cornered, forced into proximity they cannot escape. And it doesn't take long for the tension to explode. EJ provokes. Kristen reacts. This isn't playful antagonism or surface-level hostility. This is decades of unresolved trauma erupting in real time. EJ represents manipulation, control, and moral superiority. Kristen represents chaos, obsession, and emotional volatility. When Kristen learns that Rachel is at Bayview, the last thread of her restraint snaps. Fear crashes into guilt. Guilt mutates into rage. To Kristen, EJ instantly becomes the embodiment of everything threatening her daughter. Every decision that led them here. Every mistake that put Rachel at risk. Every consequence she can no longer undo. Kristen doesn't just argue. She lunges. She physically attacks EJ, driven not by strategy but by desperation. And that distinction matters. Chad DiMera is forced into an impossible role, playing referee in a fight that could turn lethal if unchecked. He separates them, tries to restore order, but something has already changed. This moment makes one truth undeniable. Kristen is no longer scheming. She's unraveling, and an unraveling DiMera is far more dangerous than a calculating one. Just when it seems the situation in the crypt has reached its limit, it gets worse. Footsteps, movement. Another body is dragged into the darkness. Unconscious. A bag over his head. The captives watch in silence as the truth is revealed. Peter Blake, now portrayed by Dan Gautier. Peter's arrival instantly shifts the entire dynamic of this storyline. He isn't just another hostage added for shock value. Peter is an adopted DiMera child, just like Kristen. That alone connects him directly to Stefano DiMera, the architect of terror whose shadow still looms over Salem. Peter's past is complicated, violent, manipulative, filled with unfinished business. And his presence is not accidental. This reveal confirms something unsettling. Someone is deliberately assembling DiMeras, not only by blood, but by legacy. By shared history, by shared trauma, by shared sins. This is no longer just a kidnapping plot. It's a resurrection. A deliberate attempt to drag the past into the present and force these characters to confront what was never truly buried. And with Peter Blake now in the crypt, the nightmare has only just begun. This week of Days of Our Lives is not designed to give viewers closure. It's designed to reposition the board. Every storyline unfolding right now may seem separate on the surface, but underneath, they are moving in lockstep, toward the same destination. Let's look at the pattern. EJ's lab isn't just being exposed, it's being pressured. Chanel's pregnancy isn't just a miracle, it's a test of survival. The white powder isn't just a scare, it's a stress test for Salem's systems. The crypt isn't just a holding cell, it's a symbolic courtroom. And Peter Blake's return isn't fan service, it's a signal. A signal that the past is no longer content to stay buried. Someone is orchestrating chaos on multiple fronts at the exact same time. This isn't impulsive. This isn't random. It requires deep knowledge of DiMera history, precise timing, and an understanding of how fear spreads, socially, emotionally, and institutionally. Whoever is behind this understands one fundamental truth. Power doesn't come from control alone. It comes from destabilization. By hitting Salem legally, medically, emotionally, and psychologically all at once, this unseen player is forcing every character into survival mode. And survival mode breeds mistakes. The DiMera crypt isn't just a prison. It's a stage, where secrets will be forced into the light, alliances will fracture, and old identities will resurface. This week isn't the climax. It's the opening movement of something much darker. And once the momentum is in motion, stopping it may be impossible. The week of December 15th on Days of Our Lives offers no comfort. There are no easy victories. No clean resolutions. No safe choices. Joy arrives with a warning label. Truth arrives with collateral damage. And history arrives demanding payment. Chanel is facing a pregnancy that could redefine her future, or endanger it. Kristen is spiraling under the weight of fear for her child. Salem itself is shaken by the possibility of an unseen biological threat. And Peter Blake's return pulls Stefano DiMera's shadow directly back into the present. All of this points to one undeniable conclusion: Salem is entering a darker era. Not because evil has suddenly appeared, but because the protections that once kept it contained are failing. And as this story continues, the cost of survival, emotionally, morally, and physically, is only going to rise. So stay with it, because the chaos we're seeing now, it's just the beginning.